Yes, we are live now, and good morning to everybody watching us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, listening to us in Clubhouse. It's such a pleasure to have you with us in the middle of the Golden Week here. So, this year, the Golden Week is a little bit fractured. So, today is a working day officially, but many people are taking it off anyway and enjoying their holidays, spring holidays, I believe we can say so. And today, once again, we have our very interesting guest, Deron Dean Reynolds, who was with us a couple of months ago, I believe already. Today, we're going to talk about how can I put it? A very curious topic. You can see the title of this podcast is Karaoke Killed the J-pop star. Well, before we move into the topic and also once again have Deron introduce himself, excuse me, briefly, I want to say thank you to our sponsors and start with Kanchu. As you know, Kanchu, or as they exist online, Kanchu.com, is a company based in Yokohama that does projects in buying and selling real estate investment, and property management. So, if you want to go into any such projects, please do not hesitate to contact James Howell at james@kanacho.com. That is James Howell. He is very active on LinkedIn. You probably have enjoyed some of his posts and the beautiful pictures of the properties they deal with. So please contact James at james@kanacho.com. And now we are moving back into the podcast and a brief introduction once again from you, Darren, so that those who didn't watch the first episode with you just get to know a little bit about you.
Thanks, guys. Good morning. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, my name's Deron. It's pronounced Deron as in Darren. It's got a strange spelling though, Deron. I could go on forever just about my name. I've always been called a D. I've always been a piano player. I've always really enjoyed playing music since I was a very small child, and I um, took a lot of lessons from when I was about age 7. Classical. I was classically trained. I moved here to Japan. I had already been playing in blues bands, stuff like that. Very into blues music. I played with some pretty cool artists in Kobe when I first came here. And they gave me the nickname Dr. D because they say I look a lot like Dr. John.
Interesting.
Right. Yes.
Right.
So that's where I got the nickname from, the Dr. D one. But I started working for making a lot of music when I came to Japan. I was writing a lot of stuff. And I got into a J-pop label, Giza Records, and I was able to write some songs for them and for a few of their artists, and it went very well. I then started making my own music, my own albums, and it's from that kind of material that I'm really excited about finally getting to play. I'm gonna do a few original music concerts here pretty soon. But yeah, I'm active playing music and I record music and I do all that stuff now around town here in Osaka, in the Kansai area. My blues band Dr. D and the Dirty Dangle Rhythm and Blues Review is doing really well. New band, and we're going to be playing here in the middle of May. Yeah, it's a fun time of year. Golden Week's always the fun time of year. It's just cool enough that people want to go out without thinking it's too hot, and everyone feels the energy of the summer coming, and so it's great. Lots of stuff happening. Original music show coming up. I'm also playing in a band called Far East, which is a cool kind of heavy metal, 70s heavy metal rock band. They're all guys that are even older than me, but they're all very, very good musicians, and they're very heavy metal dudes, all wearing leather all the time. Those types of guys. Yeah, it was great. So it's been really good. It's but can't complain. I'm getting lots of chances recently in the music business. But this title, this thing I'm talking about, this title of the episode, this comes from sort of a title of a book of something I'm kind of working on, which is like a bunch of stories about Japan. And one of them is the story of me in the J-pop label and how I learned about this terrible truth that karaoke killed the J-pop star.
The terrible truth,
True.
right?
It's
Yes.
terrible truth.
The painful truth.
It's painful
Mm.
truth. Yeah, it's a sad story, but it's very, from what I can tell, very, very true. Yeah, it sounds like it could be a blues song too. It would make it good. If nothing else, it would make like a good Japanese blues song. The Japanese blues. Have you guys ever heard that term before? You know the Enka style music is sometimes called Japanese blues music.
Okay. A lot of minor key there, going on.
It's kind of like the blues in Japan. Makes sense. It sounds different, but it's definitely that style. It's all about love. It's all about, oh my God, life's so hard. Like I got the blues. Like
and yet it's therapeutic. That's the idea of it.
It's therapeutic. Yes.
No, but Enka's very it is, and it's weird, right? But it's kind of bluesy. Yeah. Anyway, so like I do more traditional blues, like just fun songs, like stuff that like the one that's gone really well is "Don't You Just Know It," which is an old song it's the one where you go, hey oh gooba 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 gooba. It's this kind of call and repeat song. It's one that we all know once we start listening to it, and it's just like those types of songs. Stuff that's fun. Hopefully get people remembering how good old music can be. Anyway, but blues. And well, there's modern hits too. So like that's been the big thing I've been focusing on. And so karaoke killed the J-pop star. I don't even know where to start with that, but like you guys, I haven't talked to for a while, and so it's really a pleasure to be back on here, and I'm ready for any and all questions.
Right. Good. I'm sure Yuka Marosek may have some questions later. It's a fascinating topic, and I agree.
Yes.
So Yuka, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
Hope you're enjoying it, the day.
Yeah, I was not very, I'm a terrible singer, and I say it publicly because it's very true. And I love singing still, but I just am careful that I sing when there are no people around. So for me personally, karaoke has been a fascinating place, and I'll tell you why. Because I can go there and I can see as much as out of tune as I want without anybody hearing me. Right,
but no. Even if they're there, they will all clap for you.
Yeah, everybody will.
Yes, if there are people around, yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. But it's true, and so I sometimes go to karaoke, and whenever it happens to be with people, friends or colleagues, they always clap to my terrible singing. But what I didn't know about karaoke was that it was actually invented in the 1970s, and honestly, I thought that it was probably an American invention, but it turned out that it was a Japanese invention. And a Japanese person invented it, and it became so popular that a lot of stars, actually J-pop stars or enka singers and so on, and their agencies, they paid a lot of attention to what or how their songs were accepted by karaoke goers. And I was entirely unaware of that. Yes, I was entirely unaware of that. But I think that it connects the dots for me, and between that time when karaoke was crucial really for the success of many songs, and what you just said, Deron, and the title of this podcast, Karaoke Killed the J-pop Star. And so why do you think that karaoke killed the star? What happened? What's the story here?
Just one quick comment.
Sure.
I got here in 1977. Karaoke was already established.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to any snack, any bar, and people were singing karaoke. And not only Japanese songs, as we all know, you know, My Way, they all wanted that song. And there were like certain staple songs, a lot of 1950s songs, Diana, and, you know,
They
so.
like, yeah, they like stuff like that. Exactly.
So what I'm saying is, I didn't know,
Yeah, all of them do.
I didn't know it was invented in the 70s, because I got the impression when I got here, it was already established, and that was 70. So kind of interesting.
It exploded on the scene. That's true. Like it became very popular very quick.
Yeah.
Look, this really comes from a conversation I had with a music producer guy that ran the place where I was going. Like, so I had conversations with him, not all the time at first, but then when I started getting more involved with the artists, of course, I started seeing more often. And this one time, this funny thing he mentioned to me about singing. It had to do with like you know, all the different people I was working with, and like he said, like, well, you know, I go, you know, sometimes they're not always singing perfect pitch, but they're pretty good. He goes, well, we don't want them to sing in perfect pitch. And I go, well, why not? And I go, well,
Yeah.
Because it'll sound too good. If it sounds too perfect, then it's too hard to sing on karaoke, and people won't want to sing the song. You don't want it to sound like it's too difficult and too good. So like, I took
Wait a minute,
that.
but don't, just a quick. I always feel like, and I've come to think this way, that in Japan, perfection is not beauty. Imperfection is associated with beauty and authenticity. And I think there might be a little of that going on, maybe.
That's totally true too. And like, but like the just simple fact of it is that there were good takes by the singer, but they didn't want the good takes. They wanted the ones that sounded a little tiny bit off.
Yeah.
Or well, weird. And I go, well, why? Like, he goes, well, this certain singer sounds really, really good already, so that can sound perfect. But like, you want artists that don't sound perfect, basically.
Interesting.
Like, makes it easier to sell on karaoke, basically, and that's where you make most money. And that's really what it comes down to. Money. You make a lot of money through karaoke. Karaoke is worth a huge, bigger chunk of money to the people that write the songs, the creative people involved, than selling, say, a stream, right? Like a stream service.
Yeah.
Nothing, and that's basically what people are selling nowadays. Some people buy products still, but it's not the same as it was back then, right? At that point, the early 2000s, Japan still was a CD like place. People still bought it.
It still is.
It still kind of is. I know.
Yeah, people still, yes.
It's rather amazing. Yeah. And I bet I have a CD player I can use, but like, and a mini disc player I can use. Those things were also cool. These tiny, the tiny little square ones, like those were quite popular in Japan. Anyway, the point is that things were selling, products were selling back then, but they aren't anymore. And like now, it's much more. It's changed recently. Recently, it's really just about the artists that are best, because they're becoming popular in like other countries already, like before they're popular even in Japan nowadays. So like that's something kind of new. Japan didn't have that back then. So like if you want to get popular, the easiest way to get popular is to get popular in karaoke.
Interesting. I was not aware of that, but it makes a lot of sense actually. And
it totally does. It makes the most money.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And again, I think you're talking mostly about the pop world. Back in the 70s and the 80s, my roommate was with a band called Sandy and the Sunsets, and they did not want to become famous in Japan first. One, because they felt they'd be constrained in their creativity by the powers that be here. So their goal was to make a name overseas. They hooked up with YMO and David Bowie, and they did tours in Australia and Europe. And I always call them, they were the Japanese version of Almost Famous. They didn't quite make it. They almost got there though, and that was their strategy. It didn't work, but that mentality, they were more like in originally roots music and then what they called new wave. So it was a little bit of different. It wasn't the pop music, it wasn't karaoke kind of stuff. So but that's interesting.
There's all kinds of artists like that nowadays, though. It's amazing. Like in so
Yeah.
many, if you're in Japan and you don't really like the scene here, you just go somewhere else and you get famous all of
Yeah.
a sudden because Japan's like on fire at the moment when it comes to stuff like pop culture stuff.
Yes.
Everyone wants to listen to Japanese music now.
Yes.
You got to imagine that it wasn't like that at the time.
It was not. You're right.
Especially like really not until the last, I'd say 5 years, maybe the last 10 years or so. Like as it suddenly just shifted, and then like now anything sung in Japanese can be a hit. And it used to be like that, and like when it wasn't, like that's the time when I started, when this kind of story became really truth to me. I was like, well, that sucks. Like karaoke is like just killing good singing in Japan. This is what the theory starts becoming. Like I'm like, because there's a lot of good artists, but they're not even trying to make it sound perfect. Like that's why bands like SMAP like can be so popular.
Right.
It comes down to this. A lot of it comes down to SMAP and like,
It
with all
does,
kinds
yes.
of things Japan. But like that's the reason why. And like it was like that for a long time, but not in the 70s. Like Tim's saying, there was a lot of good music going on in the 70s. In fact, I would garner to say that some of the 70s music I've heard is better than almost any of the bands I liked from the 70s in the US.
Yeah, there was some good music.
Now, there's some really good stuff going on here. It was better music. It was just better. I'm in this band called Cassiopeia right now.
Oh,
yeah. You know them?
Yeah,
all right. So, for example, like there's just like that band by itself, that they're so ridiculously crazily good. Like there's a lot of really good music from the 70s in Japan.
YMO.
Yeah, YMO was great. Like for example, and I mean, there were too many good bands. Even in the 80s, there's so much good music for a while, but it started to change. It was like towards the end of the 80s, I'd say, and for like a long time, there was a lot more about karaoke sales than it was like good music videos and selling. That's why I'm saying it's like radio killed the video stars. Like so kind of what I'm playing on here, and like, so it's like I was like it's not that way. It's the other way around. It's like karaoke killed the J-pop star. That makes a lot more sense. So I was just playing with words on that, and like I really thought about that at the time. I go, "Wow, is that really wild? That's wild. That's what." Okay, well, so I have to try to make singers that are not good singers sound good enough, or the other way around. But it's usually always about trying to make something that's not perfect. Imperfection.
Right. It's interesting because I always thought about those boys bands that very few of them actually are good singers. It's more
they're all
about
kakui otoko. There's form over content going on.
kakui, kawaii, and all of this ikemen, all of this, because I believe that the appearance appeals to the audiences here, and especially to the female audiences, because that pop music is created mostly for the female segment in Japan. And I believe that's why appearance, the looks of the singers are more important. Sometimes they are also terrible dancers, even though they are in the boys' dance groups.
I agree.
Yeah, the choreography is not.
Yeah. That's
it's not perfect here in Japan for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's getting better. It's getting way better.
It's getting way better.
But it's only because they finally started copying the K-pop style. And
I'm
just gonna say it. It's just true. It's just true. Like some bands are starting to do that. They're starting to train as hard as the Korean artists train, and they're really good.
Some of them are.
Some of them are great. Yeah. But it's not all of them yet.
But still, when I saw the first time, I was not so impressed with the singing, but you remember AKB48? So they made, waves, if not waves, really. They came as tsunamis here. They were heavily promoted by the agency that managed them, and they became a hit overnight. And I was thinking when I was looking at them, listening to them, so they were not really good singers, they were not really good dancers, but all of them were cute.
Yeah.
and all of them were looking good, right? The girls there, beautiful girls, and I'm not here to offend anybody, but I thought at that time probably that's a real strategy, because they want, to have a person on stage with whom some parts of the general public can associate, they can relate to, in terms of looks, in terms of
And
singing
dream
abilities,
about.
dream about too, but also
Yeah.
think, oh, this girl, she's so very cute. She's not that beautiful, but so cute. I can be like that, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so even though she's not a great singer, she still sings on stage. I can be like that. And probably
Yeah.
that's where the dream comes in.
I'm talking about the most popish of music most of the time, but like, I mean, it's true. Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of singers like that over the years. There still were when I was working in the label. Tons of girls that were like just normal people,
Hmm.
pretty much, but cool looking. And like they had style of music they liked, or certain like songwriters they worked well with, and it's just you try a bunch of different things. That's what main music label's all about, really. You just find the artist and like try to get them, if they're in a band, try to let them work in a band, but like some experiment, move people
All
around,
right.
right? But like
Yeah.
it was really really um it was really fantastic work, and like I was lucky to get to work in a label and actually like hear all that stuff. But
Hmm.
like AKB 38 style bands you were talking about, like that's Akihabara, right? And then there's
Akihabara,
Yeah.
another
yes.
and then there's another one. What is it? It's like the Nagoya one group too. There's a
Yes, there
couple of
is one
different,
in Nagoya. Yes, yes.
right.
So they start proliferating. Sorry, because they became popular also in other Asian countries. So
Right.
I have heard that they've got good audiences in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Thailand, I believe. And I guess
Yes,
that what works, you just create more of it. That's how the entertainment industry works, at least, right?
I think so. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Like, and like, there's still a lot of okay, so there's still a lot of sales being made through touring. Like, in fact, it's hitting so big right now, like
Yeah.
especially post pandemic, that like almost everyone's wanting to go see shows, live shows, and
Yeah.
like so they're like there's people just bands that are just like even just semi famous that are suddenly becoming like huge tour things, and like people just getting into something different or something new. What was the name of the new girl band? It's not coming to my head right now. There's a couple new
Right.
ones that are very, very, very cool, and like they're a mix of different backgrounds of girls and stuff, and like they're all yeah, the J-pop girl bands that are coming out. They're they're pretty good. Some of the new ones are great, and like those girl bands. I mean, like I've seen a few of those shows. I mean, it's almost like the opposite of what we were saying before. Whereas like mainly the girls are into music here. It's true, but like those shows are mainly guys coming to watch the girls because they're cute.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty much the look it gives to me. Like at least
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I felt at least. And like I was like, wow, I really saw that when I was working with the one pretty kind of cute girl idol like that. It's called an idol. I mean, Tim, you've
Yeah.
been there
I
a long
do.
time. You remember back in the day, the old cartoons always had an idol girl, like even
All
though
right.
the
Yes. Yeah.
Macross robot like cartoons always had one character that was just the super idol, and like it was always singing for everybody. Like
Yeah.
that's like a thing in Japan. Like my daughter wanted to be an idol for a long time. Like
Right. Right.
it's actually like a career choice. Like
Yeah.
like that whole idea is she's still pretty strongly rooted here, and that's like what I think why they make those bands, those AKB48 bands. They keep rotating. They just keep rotating girls. Nobody really
They
cares.
do. They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I
Another.
got
Same
here,
with the boy
Pink.
bands, though. Same with the boy bands. Yeah.
Yeah, Pink Lady was the rage when I got here.
Oh yeah, they were great. That was one of those old pop bands I really liked. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Mike. Yeah.
No, another thing that I noticed, which is related to karaoke, and it actually connects karaoke with TV, are those shows they have around the New Year, I believe, when there is they bring in people from the general public to the show, and they play a famous song or famous songs, right? Actually, and they have the people from the general public to sing karaoke on stage in front of the camera, and then after the first maybe 30 or 40 seconds, they decide, there is a jury of course, and the jury decides whether the person has performed to a certain standard, sang really well or not. And it seems to be quite difficult for people to get the song right on stage in front of the camera. And I always wonder, so what is it about wanting, to sing karaoke on stage? And once again, I think that there is a very specific psychological thing there, because if you cannot be on stage all the time, at least you can be on stage in front of your friends. And it is interesting because statistics show that the people who watch those TV programs are usually the friends, many, many friends, and acquaintances, and also colleagues and family of the people who get on stage. So it's a fascinating circle there. It's a fascinating, how can I say, work of psychology, or, using psychology so that the TV stations can also tap into this, the karaoke
Yes.
popularity.
But how powerful is TV now? Aren't they waning with the youngsters? Isn't it less TV and more online? Is that
Well, I mean, yes and no. Yes, there's a lot more activity online now than there used to be. A lot of people just watching stuff on YouTube and then talking on chat groups while they're watching stuff, right? Like that's the way a lot of kids interact nowadays, stuff like that. But there's still plenty of music being made today being done on TV, real TV here in Japan. I think it still counts to a certain extent. What she was talking about was the NHK show, right? The Norojiman show, right? Isn't that what you're
Oh,
talking
right.
about? Like,
Yes. I don't
pretty
remember
much,
the title, but I think that's
that's what you're
yes,
talking about.
that one.
That show's insanely popular in Japan, and it's been going on forever. There's a movie. You guys should watch the movie sometime. The movie's is really good, and it stars a lot of people that we've known, at least during our time here in Japan. It's great. It's a great one, and it's all about those few crazy singers that love to be on TV and love to sing and try to sing really well during karaoke.
Right.
You
Yes.
always know that there's that one person that's really, really good at it, right?
Mhm.
And there's everybody else, it doesn't matter. You get on, you can sing completely out of tune, nobody cares. Like we were talking about, it doesn't really
People
matter.
like me can be on
It
stage
doesn't
too.
matter. Yeah, everyone still claps the same way. It doesn't matter who's singing, and that's what's fun about it. But you always have the people that are super good, right? And that's what the film's about. It's about all of these people that are just really good singers, and
Right.
want to do it. They go from town to town to town to town, right? They go everywhere, so they give everybody a chance, local people a chance they're the best singers to come
Yeah.
up and sing and sing basically like a karaoke version of it. Sometimes it's live though, they have live musicians a lot of the time too, for a few of those shows at least. I
Yes.
know it's a phenomenon. It's a crazy popular thing in Japan. So yeah.
Right. But I think I have heard a story about one of those programs that one of the singers actually failed singing their own song. So they
Right.
couldn't pass the test during the program on stage. And it has become maybe a town legend. I don't know, or city legend, if you call it city
urban legend? Yeah,
or
yeah.
urban legend. Yes, thank you, Tim.
Right.
But I hear it every time that program is on TV, somebody mentions it at home. There is that singer who sang his own song in karaoke and didn't pass the test. And so it's really funny because how does it happen? Is my question.
Well, I mean, I've been a singer of my own songs for a long time, and I can tell you, I can't always remember the lyrics to all my songs either.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
I mean, I really can't. I have to at least
Sometimes I can't
before I play
remember
them.
the chords.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're rusty. It comes
Yeah,
back to you, but like it's stuff
you
you
got it
write or
right.
stuff you
Yeah,
you can start remembering it back pretty quick, but it doesn't like always stick permanently.
it
And like some
doesn't
people
blow.
have a harder time with certain things like that in music than others. Like I have no problem with chords and stuff. Like that's easy for me, but like
You,
remembering lyrics can be tough. That's actually something I have trouble with. Like
yeah.
I have to. It takes a lot for me to memorize stuff. Basically,
Sometimes
a
I
long time.
blank out and I sing the same verse twice. I've done that.
Right. Yeah. Or yeah. Well, I mean, when you're playing, when you do piano man like type work like that, that's what you got to do. You just keep going. Whatever happens, happens, and you just
Right, right, right.
singing because you can't just
Right.
stop. You can't
Yeah.
just stop. You just keep going, and like you make weird versions of songs sometimes that way. But like the show must go on, as they say, right? So like
Yeah,
you just keep playing, no matter how many like weird mistakes like
yeah,
that or things you make. Like, but yeah, even with my own songs, I forget. So I'll give those people a pass. I'm gonna give them a pass.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? It is pretty hard. It's hard. It's easy to forget. But yeah, nowadays there are a lot of shows like that. I know what you're talking about. The ones that are like there are people going in a karaoke booth, basically, and they're the actual people that sang the song, and like they're trying to see if they can get the high score or not, basically, right?
Hmm.
There's all kinds of shows like this on karaoke based shows and TV. I mean, that's how popular it is. It still is, like even today. And like, yeah, it's a place you can sing and practice by yourself, especially if you're not used to playing your own instrument and you want to like practice just the singing part. Makes it a lot easier for just professional singers, stuff like that.
Right. Yes.
Mm.
Okay, so before we continue, then let me say thank you to our other sponsor, and that is Houze, or as they are also known, Houze Inc. You can find them online or at webmasters at houze.co.jp. They do projects in custom home design and construction, commercial building construction. They also have a new headquarters, and I encourage you to connect once again with James and also with hana so that you can talk with them about any projects you might have, especially if you're based in Yokohama. But they might help you with advice and some tips if you want to know more about the project you have in mind, even when you live in other parts of Japan, in Kanto, the Kanto area especially. So once again, we encourage you to connect with Hana or Shizawa Howell or James. You will find their contact details in the description of the YouTube video. If not, do not hesitate. Let us know, and we will help you with by connecting you with them. You can talk with them in English or in Japanese. It's up to you. So the language barrier will not be there. And once again, back to our show with the karaoke. Well, karaoke killed the J-pop star. And I was also wondering, Darren, because we haven't
Sure.
got to the assassination yet, right? To that moment, to the
Yeah.
real killing moment. So, because you mentioned that the agencies, the Tarento agencies, well, agencies that manage
Hmm.
singers and dancers here,
Mm.
they prefer to have imperfect singers and imperfect dancers because people can relate to them probably easily or more easily, and that sells. But, well, we also have maybe not that many, but we also have nowadays some really, really wonderful singers here. So, are they songs in karaoke or aren't they? Because I really am not very familiar with the scene here, the music scene in
Right.
Japan.
No, I know what you're talking about. Like so. Let's see. Um, Karaoke. Look, there's lots of great singers in Japan. Yes, there are some people that are sing amazingly well, and those still sound good, and those recordings sound great. When people want to go to sing those songs in karaoke places, people try their best to sound as good as that person. Only usually the best singers challenge those songs. So there's a market for that. You know what I'm saying? That in
Mhm.
itself's a little
Right.
niche market in the karaoke. So like there's plenty of room for good singers and good music. It's just that they tend to choose to like pick people a little more, I don't know, a little more imperfection because it's a little easier for other people to sing, right?
Right.
As far as actual artists that like, I mean, that sing like that, I mean, it has to do, I think it has a lot more to do with a look or feel or style that the artist has. Like that often seems to be the most important thing that like J-pop labels are looking for. It's not that they don't study. It's not that they don't dance great. Some of them are great dancers. Some of them aren't perfect, but it's like, it's just like they're fine with it being a little bit easier for people to copy, I guess would be the right way to put it. Because you want people, yeah, you want people want to copy and sing it, and like if they're imperfect and your voice is imperfect, well, that feels like it's more fun, doesn't it?
It's user friendly.
Yeah, there you go. It's user friendly. So like I really find it like an interesting part of music in Japan. I mean, like, yes, I go to karaoke all the time. I love it. But I would prefer to be playing and singing on my own, like most of the time, because I'm an artist and that's what I like to do.
Right.
But it's fun to sing at karaoke. Hey, if you get to sing whatever song you want to sing, so you get to challenge yourself on songs that you don't usually sing. You know, I mean, it's kind of a fun way to practice singing and warm up or whatever. Yeah, you know. So I still go out and I do karaoke all the time, but like to tell the truth, like, I mean, the way it works in, you know, business wise, I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot of people that like can just do shows with like their own karaoke. You know what I mean? All you gotta do is have tapes of voiceless songs and like you can sing and perform anywhere.
You got YouTube now too.
Yeah, you can do it on YouTube. Yeah, exactly. I know people that's all they do on YouTube is just record themselves singing karaoke.
Interesting.
You know, yeah, I mean it's literally it's a thing right now. So it's like, yeah, you still don't get a lot of money like for each tiny little stream or hit or use of your song, but if it gets popular anywhere, like you can. It's what's called viral popularity. Like then you never know. Like sometimes that's one way you can still make money as an artist here in Japan or anywhere and around the world. If you make your own songs, something becomes famous, like you'll get paid for it. Like, but you have to actually put your stuff into the streaming services for that to happen, for them to count it at all, right? Like you gotta just pay the tiny little entry fee now, basically. But yeah, anyone can do it. So in a way, like it's quite cheap. Like you're talking, it's not a lot of
cheap,
money.
But now you got more people out there doing it, and there's more fragmentation. You know.
Yes, but the cream rises to the top. The best stuff still gets noticed. Like people are just that way. But then there's all kinds of cool, crazy stuff on there too. That like you're just like, I can't believe somebody made this, but it's pretty cool. You know, sometimes it's ridiculous sounding and it's not very good, but then some things are just really funny. Humans are funny, okay? Humans are weird, and it's sometimes fun to just hear stuff that people make up.
Yeah, so like, yes, it's interesting because just the other day I read a story about a song written for a 13-year-old girl, and it was in the early 2000s, I believe. Or maybe a little bit earlier than that. And so that song was written for the 13-year-old girl, an American girl, because she wanted to become a singer. And they wrote the song. It was called Friday, and it's actually a song that, you know, it received terrible critique. And it received terrible critique, but they uploaded it on YouTube. And what happened? So every Friday, the song gets maybe close to 1 million views every Friday. And so it's interesting because people say, the critics, the musicians who wrote the song say that it was not a very good song, you know, it was just put together and so on. People agree that it's not that great, and still it gets 1 million views every week.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
It is funny, yes. As
humans are funny.
That's the viral thing we're talking about. It's
Right,
just a
but
weird
Something
also,
thing.
resonated other
Yeah.
than the structure of the song. There was
Yep.
something else there, right?
so that's the title actually, that people look for, something Friday, maybe Friday activities, Friday songs, Friday this or Friday that on YouTube. And then this song comes up because of the title. It's
The
titled
Friday
Friday.
song.
Yeah.
Yes, I know which song you're talking about. I knew that's the song you were talking about as soon as you started describing it. Yes, that's a very popular one of like an example of a song that's not really very good, like it's becoming super popular. Like, but some of it just because of the topic, or because there's all kinds of weird reasons why. But that one is just because it's bad. It's funny,
Funny.
basically.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like
And
bad movies that you
yeah,
watch just to make fun of because it's
yeah,
hilarious. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And like music has that too. And like, sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes it's just because it's just a real silly idea. Like,
Right.
the Baby Shark song, we all know the Baby Shark song now.
Oh,
Like, just because
yes.
we've heard it. Everyone knows the Baby Shark song now. And like, and we didn't need that. Nobody had to put Baby Shark on us like that as a society, but someone did. And like, it got out there, and now everybody in the world knows the Baby Shark song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
There's
Yeah.
another example. Sometimes it's kid songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The kids, man, they get the big YouTube hits. If you're making content for kids that it's catchy,
Mhm.
you know, not recently, about a year ago, I recorded a song just for my granddaughter, a fun song. It's the Three Little Fishies, which is an old song.
Mhm.
And that's a silly, silly, silly song that
Mhm.
became a big hit. And my mom used to sing it to me, and my aunties used to sing it to me. It's a silly, silly
Right.
song, but Liberace used to make fun of it, So,
That's right. Hey, but think about Sesame Street songs. I mean, like
yeah.
it's like we know so many of those songs by heart. Matter of fact, the actual Sesame Street song itself is my favorite song, one of my favorite songs. But I mean, like, yeah, we just end up learning all these over the years, and there's certain songs just everybody loves.
Yeah.
And it can be from any different spectrum in music, really. So like, it can be anything. Just never know what it's going to be, but it's usually based in pop. It's usually based to something that like a medium everybody knows. What goes viral though is completely up to humanity's weird impulses on YouTube and the internet. It's
The
weird,
internet
right?
too. Yes.
Yeah,
Be-
I think it's worth mentioning one outlier, because
Mhm.
everything you've said, I completely agree with you, and you're obviously more knowledgeable than I am. But there's one outlier, and
Right.
that is Weo Muite Aruko became a top hit in the
Yeah.
US in 1962, and it was originally in Japanese, and people loved it even though they didn't understand any of the words, to the point where they rewrote the lyrics and called it sukiyaki.
That's right. That's right.
And
They
it
changed the
became
name
a
of the
big
song.
hit, and the words have nothing to do with the original lyrics.
It's just sukiyaki is one of the few things that people can remember about Japan.
It's the melody was catchy, and it had this feeling about it that transcended cultures. But in 1962, the Japanese were not cast in a positive light in the U.S. Japan was not loved. We still had the propaganda from the World War II movies,
Right.
and yet it broke through, and then never again happened. I think the closest maybe was YMO later in the 70s, right, where a Japanese band got that hit again in Japanese, right? So
Right. Right. There's been a few minor hits in between too, but like that was the big one, right?
yeah,
Sukiyaki, and everybody knows that song. And like yeah, it's an exception kind of, but it's like it's also that kind of music was very popular at the time because of the Korean War. Well, like that's the thing. Like that's like there's like wartime songs are kind of always a different beast. That's not quite wartime, but it was just after that.
it was an anti-war song if you
It
read the
was.
history of
Yeah,
it. Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
And like, so I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, those types of songs can become popular no matter what language they're in.
Yeah.
There's been a few examples of, like French or like Spanish songs like that too over the years that just became big everywhere. And like,
Mhm.
despite the fact it being in a foreign language.
Amore.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I get
More.
that's one. I could think of the Genghis Khan song, like
Mm.
the Genghis Khan song. It's like, I think it's like Dutch or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the original.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's usually hear the original lyric version, and you can't understand any of it, really.
But you feel it.
Unless you speak the language, right? Of course.
Yeah. But you still feel it through the melody and that's the beauty of music. That's why I
It
love
is a beautiful thing, right? And like that's the thing. Like you can have hits from anywhere. But that was an interesting one. That was one big one, an outlier way at the beginning, like you said. And like nowadays, it's just nice. I think a lot of people are getting into older Japanese music too, that I grew up listening to, and people are finding older bands that they really like as well. And there's been a lot of good music in Japan over the
Yeah.
past 20, 30 years, I would say. I think so. I know which bands I like. I know which stuff I like to listen to.
Mm.
And
Yeah, so speaking of old songs and also Western songs and foreign songs and karaoke, I have
mhm.
noticed that there aren't so many Western songs actually included in on the lists of karaoke parlors, right? It's mostly Japanese, and sometimes you can find some Western classics, but it's really quite rare. And whenever I go there and I try and I think I want to sing something, songs that I like, let's say hard rock, for example, or Western pop songs and this and that, it's pretty difficult to find them. And they have hundreds and hundreds of Japanese titles. They've got a huge list of enka songs. They've got a huge list of modern J-pop, right? And some of the old Japanese, maybe older songs. But it's really difficult to find anything, not anything, but really some of the good big classics of the Western rock
Yeah,
and
I've
pop.
yet to see Fortress Around Your Heart by Sting. I've yet to see that in a karaoke.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, I don't. Could you rephrase the question for me real quick, Maya? I'm trying to understand exactly what was your question
Oh
again?
no, it's not a
Yeah,
question. It's more of a
more of
comment.
a comment
Yeah, a
about
comment.
that kind of stuff.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm making sure. I wasn't sure if I
Oh
heard the
no, that's
question. Did it?
fine.
So I do have
Just
a
commenting
question.
on songs like that. Okay, go ahead, Tim. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. No, so in the connection of why karaoke killed pop, like
It
what
didn't
stuck the
completely
knife in
kill.
and
Yeah.
cut the artery? Like what was the defining factor? What is it, the imperfection? Is it, you know, the popularization of the music, simplifying the music so anybody can sing it? Like how do you assess that framing? Or what's
Okay, so I'll explain it in parts. I promise you I'm going to get back to that question.
okay, okay.
It starts with the title of that I kind of took the idea from. Video killed the radio star. That song is not exactly what you think it is. It's just bemoaning the fact that radio's gonna not be as important. The radio star is gone. The person that was never seen, right? Like it was just about how good they sing or how much. It doesn't matter
Okay.
how cool you look. But
Gotcha.
now the video age starts, and it matters how you look, right? The bemoaning that fact. So
Okay.
like, I mean, when I'm talking about kill, I'm not necessarily being like it's kind of tongue in cheek.
It's a
I
little
mean, really,
hyperbolic.
that's not
Yeah.
really murder. We're talking assassination here. I'm just talking
I,
about the
I
slow
get it.
death, the slow death.
Okay.
Like the idea wasn't immediately like, oh, well, let's make songs that suck so that they can people can sing it better in karaoke. No, that wasn't it at all. Like, and nobody was really ever trying to make a bad product. That's not what I'm trying to say either. But over time, this idea of the perfect musician and the best music was what counts. Started
Yeah.
changing to what looks cool, what kind of cool song can we make, what kind of image can we show, and like what's going to sell on karaoke. Like in
Hmm.
Japan, that's the number one moneymaker. Again, it all comes down to the yen. It's really what it comes down to. And like, so that's where the money is. So like you focus on that, and like we start focusing on that, well, suddenly singing perfectly and cool sounding songs aren't even really the important part anymore. It's whatever people want to sing.
Oh
in
yeah.
karaoke
Okay.
that you're trying
Yeah.
to sell, right? Like,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it's just a matter of focus. Like, I think right now, because of the weirdness that the world's in right now with music business, it's all equal playing field pretty much. Anyone can put something in. You know, you're gonna. There's just so much stuff out there to listen to. It can be mind-boggling to even think about, right? But still,
Right. Yeah.
people are usually, dragged towards stuff that's cool. There's stuff you hear about from a friend, right? It's all in the end kind of word of mouth, right? That's the way that's the way you become popular. Viral stuff too. Viral stuff is just kind of sometimes helped with the new social media thing. It can go a lot quicker when you're just posting a link, boom, 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 and that's something funny.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, but that kind of way, that's another way to make money. Like nowadays, like making music. If they choose your music to go in their funny little video clip or whatever, you get paid for that, right? At least in theory.
Yeah, I almost feel like there's a parallel to what I see a lot is the homogenization of pop music now. And I'm talking about the West. And again, some of this is nostalgia, but I grew up, in the late 60s, 70s when I really started getting into music. And I just felt there was so much originality. Every band had their own sound and they had their own twist on stuff, and there was a lot of creativity. And now I listen to this stuff now, and I've seen this. It's like a comedy group, music group, but they say, okay, if you just use these 5 chords, you can sing a million songs that are
Right.
popular.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they sing it all. It's the same
Ah,
chord progressions, right?
I know
So I feel
exactly
like,
what you're talking about. That video, yes.
and so to
Mhm.
me, the music, very little of the music today appeals to me. I'm very open-minded. I'll listen, and I have kids, and they've introduced me to some cool music, but I just feel like it's lost a little bit of soul. And
Mm.
Rick Beato, who I watch a lot, his YouTube channel, he like
The guitar guy, right?
he
I know what you're
hates
talking
auto.
about.
Well, he plays piano. He's theory.
Yeah,
He's a teacher,
yeah, he's
but he
theory. He's
hates
teaching.
auto tune, and I do too. And I've recorded a few songs with auto tune, and it was so perfect that it didn't feel like I was singing the song. And
Mm.
and I got to the point where I said, you know what? Let me just do a gazillion takes and go with the best take, even if it's imperfect, because it's me. And that's how I look at it. Maybe it's the Japanese in me. I think there's a beauty to imperfection. You can make up for imperfection by singing soulfully or really sincerely.
It's
But
imperfection that usually is the best soul.
that's
That's
the
the thing.
beauty. That's
Yeah.
that's the wabi
Yeah.
sabi of life.
Yeah.
Mm.
The kintsugi, and people. I heard a great quote. I can't remember. It was a famous musician, and he said, "People they try to be perfect in their live performances," and it kind of speaks to what you said earlier. He goes, "You're doing it the wrong way. Try to be perfect in your practicing, and then when you're live, let it go." And
Mm-hmm.
people will forgive imperfection in the moment if they see that you're into it. So you got to learn to let go, because then you can relax and perform naturally and not worry about being perfect. And I think
Right.
that was a really good way to frame it. And it kind of seems like that's what you were saying earlier a little bit.
You know, that's exactly right. I agree with that sentiment, and like I also would say, the only thing I would add is like, okay, oh boy, I lost my train of thought there for a second. But like, yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. That's true. Yes, we definitely need to be vigilant, and we should practice, and like practicing in the home is an important part. The only thing I would add is that when you're live, like honestly, that's the real practice. This is the way you
Yeah.
should be thinking about it. The real practice is not like you being good at home. Anyone can learn to do that. It's
Yeah.
learning to do it well on stage that
Yeah.
actually
Right.
separates you. And so
It's
like
the mental thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, you got to be able to like you just got to
Relax.
be able to nail it and relax it. Do it the same way you know you can do it. And
Right.
like that's hard. That's the hard part. But like when you're recording music, it doesn't matter as much. Like kind of, I like to record the way you were talking about, actually, Tim, too. I tend to just take the best tracks, whatever sounds good. I don't use autotune and stuff like that very often, but sometimes it's useful for certain things. There's cool effects you can do with it too, like that are kind of fun to play with sometimes. And like it's a tool like any other tool. You can find ways to use any tool, even if you don't like it. Which brings you to AI, right? Like I've already had an AI written remix made for me a couple times by this guy that I also making tons of remixes for me, but he just does this for fun. Yeah. And I was pretty impressed, actually. It was pretty weird to listen to, but yeah, it was actually 2 different AI versions of a song I wrote. Like, so, like I've heard it, and I mean, that's kind of where things are going, and you got to try to keep thinking of it like how original is it, how creative is it, and can you keep it
Indeed. And I still believe that, yes, that's the direction the world is going into, but at the end of the day, it is what comes from your heart and what comes from your soul and how you deliver it, because that's what makes it original. And at the end of the day, AI cannot beat that.
AI can't be authentic. And whether it's writing or writing music or writing anything, I know AI, I would never let AI write for me. I would go there and get ideas, but I would never let AI write for me because I have my own voice. And I know
you're one of the good ones, Tim.
AI can't copy me because it doesn't have my human experience.
Right. Yeah.
I believe that we are shifting more toward putting a higher value on authenticity and, dare I say, imperfection. I think that's even the way these podcasts are done. We're not network news trying to be perfect. We're saying and we're making mistakes, and we're
right.
And people want that now, I think.
Right.
You know.
Well, because that's the human touch, and we all crave human touch.
We crave humanity. I agree.
Yes. Yeah.
And we just got to get to the point where AI becomes our tool. We're the master, and that's our tool, not the opposite.
It's just the way I try to think about it. It's just a tool. It's a tool, but like, and I've heard people use it in interesting ways already, like original, cool stuff. Like, so, I mean, it's a tool, but like, yeah, I mean, like, I still believe in authenticity when it comes to imperfection. In the end is what soul is. And that's what I like, maybe my favorite singer in Japan's maybe Tortoise Mats. I don't know. The guy from Ufuru's singer. Okay. Like he's the Tortoise Matsumoto, right? Like the main singer for that band. I would say it's my favorite version of a guy his voice is not great, but it's so soulful. So
right.
Soulful. Yeah. And like that. I love people that sing like that.
I me too. I wish I could sing that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Me too. Well, I try, but
no, you made a really good point that just resonated with me. And you were talking about like playing in front of people is practice. And I'm actually going through that process now. Like as I tell everybody, I'm a very mediocre amateur, right? But I enjoy doing it. To me, it's therapeutic to learn a song, play it, sing it. And then once a month, I go to our local, they have open mic, and my buddy Ellie, the piano player, and Noda-san, and they play along with us. And I pick out, I'll sing live. And for the first time, like to me, it was the mental barrier of just getting up there, not being nervous, just relaxing. And I made a breakthrough last time because I relaxed. It wasn't perfect, but you know what? It went pretty well. But it was a process. I had to do it 10 times, 10 months in a row to finally get to a point where I just relaxed and had fun. And I saw the difference. Now, whether I can repeat that next month, I don't know. But I agree with you. Like if I didn't go up in front of people and try it, I wouldn't have made any progress whatsoever, right?
Right. Yeah, but that's the basic ideology you should have. Yeah. I mean, really want to think about the actual performance as your practice. Everyone should practice. Like I don't ever tell my students to practice. I actually tell them touch the instrument every day.
Yeah.
Use it a little bit every day. It doesn't give me a minute. for me an hour. I don't care. Just do it once a day. Like invariably you'll end up doing it for hours anyway. Like if you really enjoy it. Like but like that's the idea. Touch it. You know, at least touch it a day. And like that's enough for me. Like I can't really expect to like be perfect and play and practice every single day, but get used to touching and make sure that your fingers don't lose that feeling, like, or your voice doesn't lose that feeling, you know. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Deron. Thank you so very much. And yes,
that was fun. Always.
Thank you.
Always fun.
I did. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
A lot of interesting.
Yes. And with everybody who watched us or will watch us, thank you very much for tuning in. It was a pleasure having you with us. And it is the middle of the Golden Week, so we hope that the rest of it, of this holiday season, is great for you. Enjoy it wherever you are and have fun. So thanks a lot. We'll be here once again on Friday with entertainment, the entertainment at Japan Expert Insights podcast, and then on Sunday with Michael Foster, yes, and then on Sunday with Japanese politics, and once again next week on Wednesday. Thanks a lot. Have a great Golden Week.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.